Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today it's going to be Vectorman 2 for the Sega Genesis, a follow-up to Vectorman Part 1, also on the Sega Genesis. This was a game I actually was not planning on doing, because, to be honest, I never really cared for this game that much. I tried doing a Let's Play on this a couple years ago, and I would get a couple levels in, I would just lose interest, I would just run into enemies, I'd die over and over and over again. It just honestly wasn't that much fun to me, and it felt like a downgrade to from the first Vectorman. I ran into some of the same problems when I went to try to play this game for the first time again earlier this week, but I persevered. I made it all the way through the first playthrough, didn't care for it that much. Forced myself through a second playthrough the next day, still didn't care for it that much, but then the next day after that I did a third playthrough, forcing myself through it again, but everything just kind of clicked at that point, and I had memorized the levels well enough and the enemy placements and things like that, and gotten into a rhythm and flow with the game, and I actually started to kind of enjoy it a little bit. And then right before doing this Let's Play, I did playthrough number 4 and just tore right through the game, and it was a lot more fun, and here we are now on my Let's Play recording session, session number 5, or playthrough number 5 of Vectorman 2. So, you know, it's definitely not as good of a game as the first Vectorman, but once you get used to where the enemies are and you get used to some of the differences between the two games, it is still a solid game. I don't think it's the most amazing thing since sliced bread, but it is still a solid game. If you're a big fan of the first Vectorman, you might want to try to put some time into this and give it a try. So, unlike my first Vectorman playthrough, this is not going to be a playthrough where I'm going to show you where all of like that permanent health increases are and things like that. I'm going to be trying to get through all these levels about as quickly as I can, and so that means I'm not going to be seeking out power-ups and things like that. I'm just going to be playing through the game relatively quickly, just to get through it. It'll probably still take us about an hour to get through this game, and I'll talk about various mechanics and things like that, and different modes that you get into, and how some of the the multipliers work and things like that, and obviously boss patterns and things like that. We'll touch on that, but it's probably not going to be as involved of a playthrough as Vectorman 1 was. So, but yeah, we're going to go through this whole game, and it should be a pretty smooth playthrough, actually. We'll probably have like 15 plus lives by the end of the game on the normal difficulty mode. So speaking of which, you do have options here, and you've got lame, cool, and wicked. Cool is the default normal difficulty mode, and this is what we're going to be playing on. I should try wicked sometime to see how it compares, but we're going to be playing this on the normal difficulty. You've got credits and things like that, and you've got sound tests and things like that too. So, but if you do want to change your difficulty, it is here. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the game, but before we actually get started, as always, I'd like to give a big shout out to my current patrons. That goes for my Patreon backers who are going to flash by the screen, but also the recent live stream super chatters and channel members. Thank you guys for your continued support. If anyone out there is interested in supporting my show via places like Patreon or the YouTube channel membership, links are in the description box below. So with that, let's go ahead and hit the old start button here, and there's a little introduction that plays out. One of the things that I didn't like about Vectorman 2 when I first played it is the production values in this feel much cheaper than the first Vectorman, and you can see it right from here. I mean, Vectorman's animation is kind of cute right there, honestly, but his spaceship and the animation of his thrusters and whatnot, just very, very cheap. And I noticed like this was a common thing for a lot of Sega published titles in 1996 on the Sega Genesis. It seems like some of their games were kind of rushed out the door, unfortunately. Experts was another game from this era, I think it was 96, that also just felt very, very cheap. And so Vectorman 2, I think it's a solid game, but I don't think it's quite as polished or as well thought out as the first game. But I know this game has its fans, don't want to offend anybody, so I'm just going to stop with the criticisms right there and not lead this into a supremely negative Let's Play. So you start off on this first stage, you're just floating downward, and you can pick up these little icons here called photons, and each photon gives you 10 points. Now, just like in the very first Vectorman, you do get score multipliers, anywhere from 2x all the way up to 10x, or 10 times, and you do get extra lives from points and whatnot, so getting your multipliers is good, and picking up as many photons as you can is also good, not because they just give you points, and those will eventually lead to extra lives and things like that, But bonus stages are actually handled a little bit differently in this game compared to the first Vectorman. In the first Vectorman, you had to complete very specific objectives, which was destroy the satellites and things like that to access bonus stages. Oops, this is kind of a bad position to be in. In Vectorman 2, accessing the bonus stages is actually determined by how many photons you destroy in each level, as well as how many power sacks you destroy in each level. And I'll show you what the power sacks are. Power sacks are basically the replacement of the televisions from the very first Vectorman. On this first level, I like to cover this whole top area first before I dip down below, and I just dipped down below completely by accident. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to go back up top, but I am going to come back over this way. Actually, no, I am going to have to go back up top. I messed up, but it's okay. But yeah, these are the power sacks. They're basically the same thing as the televisions from the first Vectorman. And that icon I just picked up was actually a time extension. So you are timed in this game, just like the first Vectorman. If you run out of time, you lose a life. And I just picked up a special weapon as well. Just like in the first Vectorman, special weapons are timed. They do run out, and mine just ran out. Okay, so let's not fall down again. I was trying to kill this bug here, but then fell down. If you look on the flooring, you'll notice that there's this bubbling going on, and where you see the bubbling, that's where you can actually fall through. So right here, let's go ahead and just take a good look at it like that. So also, if you hold down and hold up, you can actually scroll the screen up and down. So that is actually very important in this game because, you know, one thing you might notice so far is Vectorman 2, the level design is not nearly as fluid or well thought out as it is in Vectorman 1. So, you know, you go, like this level is basically two tiers. It's the upper tier outside, and you've got these tree trunks, and when you're on these tree trunks, you can't see down below. And even if you push the screen down, you still can't see down below. And so what happens is you fall, you land right on an enemy, and you get hurt. And so, you know, Vectorman 2's level design is not nearly as fluid as the first games, and it starts out like that right from the very beginning of the game. And that was one of the frustrating things about learning this game, is that the level design was much less kind than it is in the very first game. Much more repetitious as well. It's much easier to get lost because there are less landmarks and things like that to go by and whatnot. So, but yeah, using the screen push up and down is pretty important, but even then, you still might not be able to see all the way down to the bottom. You might still land on top of an enemy. What I found about Vectorman 2 compared to the first one is that it's much more stop and go than the first game. Like, these guys, you have to wait for them to turn around and face you. You can't actually do any damage to them when they're facing in the opposite direction, and you can't get over them. You can't get over them in a small environment like this. So you have to literally just wait until they turn around, like so. And you'll notice that they can also become blocked off, or not blocked off, but covered by the foreground. So I've actually gotten hit by those guys because they were covered up by this, you know, this structure. And so that's another thing you have to watch out for in Vectorman 2. One nice thing, though, is when you double jump by pressing the jump button again, your thrusters can actually destroy these power sacks, which is actually one of the few improvements over the very first Vectorman. In the first Vectorman, your thrusters would not destroy the televisions. But in this game, your thrusters do destroy the power sacks, and that's actually kind of nice. And I think it improves the flow of the game, because if you see a power sack, you can just double jump right into it, and then just destroy it. Instead of sitting there, you have to shoot them like, you know, 10 times or something like that to destroy them. And you already have to shoot enemies a lot in this game, so being able to just, like, destroy the power sacks with your thrusters just helps with the flow of the game. It's pretty nice, actually, so... But yeah, this first level actually takes a little while to go through. We're actually getting close to the end, but it is, honestly, I don't think this is a great, you know, first level. I don't think it's a great first impression of Vectorman 2, and I think this level and the next level coming up immediately after this is actually one reason why I had such a hard time getting into this game for so long. Let's try to jump on that guy. And there we go. But yeah, these first couple levels is definitely a big reason why I think I struggled getting into Vectorman 2. Now, I'm glad I finally gave it the time of day. I'm glad I finally beat this game, especially to be able to do a Let's Play like this for you guys, because some of you have definitely asked about this game. And now I can finally say I've actually beaten the game multiple times, many times now, which is a good feeling. I'm glad I've got this one knocked off. Instead of it always being something I look at with disdain, it's something that I can look at with, you know, in a slightly more positive light now that I've actually put some time into it, and actually do kind of enjoy it now. You know, it's definitely not my favorite, definitely not one that I like more than the first Vectorman, but it is still a solid game. It's just, I think it's an acquired taste, whereas the first Vectorman, I think, has much more easy pick up and play value for first-time players. Vectorman 2, I think, is a little more of an acquired taste. So yeah, you've also got these little bug enemies on the ceilings as well. That's also pretty annoying. So what I like to do is actually just sort of sit back from a distance and just jump up and shoot one bullet at a time, just like this. There's actually going to be a lot of that in this playthrough. And there's also going to be some items up here. There we go. Go ahead and use that. But yeah, there's actually a lot of that in this game, surprisingly, where you just jump up and you shoot once or twice, and then you fall back down to the ground, and then you jump up, shoot once or twice again, even on boss fights, just because of how some of the enemy placements and how some of the boss fights are structured, and you guys will see what I mean as we progress through this game. Now, there are about 20 or 21 stages in this game, or something along those lines, so there are quite a few stages in this game. And fortunately, some of those stages are pretty much just boss fights, though. And some of the stages are also very, very short. So while this level is actually a decent length, you actually have to kind of go through the whole level. Other levels are very big as well, but have just straight shots to the exit. So you can either exit in about a minute, or you can take your time and explore everything. If you're playing for the very first time, I probably recommend exploring everything, because you'll get the most points, you'll get the most extra lives, and it'll basically make your first playthrough the most doable. And you know what? This is something I've never verified. I don't know if you get continues in this game, because I've never actually gotten a game over. I've either just gotten frustrated and just turned the game off, or I've just forced myself all the way through it. So if anybody knows if you get continues in this game, definitely post a comment down below and let me know. But yeah, on the first playthrough, I do recommend exploring all the stages, so you can get you know, your health refilled, you can get all your points, you can get your power-ups, you can get all your power sacks and photons, so you can access the bonus stages. And this is actually one of the bonus stages, one of 3 different types of bonus stages. So what I found kind of interesting is that, again, bonus stages are actually calculated or accessed based on how many photons you get and how many power sacks you collect. And I checked a walkthrough on Game FAQs, and it said that you need about 85% power sacks and 85% photons, both. And then if you do that, you will access the bonus stage. Now, the bonus stage you get depends on the set of levels that you're currently at. And so the first bonus stage you can access is this side-scrolling shoot-'em-up section. The next bonus stage is a top-down sort of asteroids-style minigame. And then the last bonus stage is a sort of a Space Invaders style minigame. So there's always shooting involved, which is pretty cool. So what I like to do on this level, and I actually found this out yesterday on my 3rd run, is just coming over here to the right. Again, I'm not going to be exploring these levels, heavily. I'm just going to be trying to get through the game relatively quickly. I am going to be picking up some power-ups and things like that along the way. You know, if I see power sacks, I'm definitely going to be picking them up. But when things like that happen, I really lose my desire to try to collect stuff, because you know, like I said, the level design in this I don't think is nearly as well thought out as it is in Vectorman 1. There's a lot of annoying level design. Like, you can get up to the top here and then just get knocked all the way back down to the floor, which is actually quite irritating. And so let's come over here. You notice that there are those flying bugs. They come in groups of 3 or 4, and they like to dive bomb you. And I think I'm actually supposed to come over here to the left. There we go. There we go. That's what I was doing wrong. Yeah, these guys right here, they like to dive bomb you to the left, or diagonally, I should say, not to the left. I'm getting confused. And look, see, just like that, we got knocked all the way back down. So let's come back over to the right. These guys basically replace the sort of mosquito-type enemies from Vectorman 1. The mosquito-type enemies would constantly spawn in at various points in the game, and they would be the enemies that would give you health. And I am just getting wrecked by these guys right now. What is really annoying about these guys is that you can scroll the screen over just slightly, and then you just push it over again once more, and then they just all appear out of nowhere. And so you can actually end up just like scrolling the screen over and then just like having them spawn right on top of you. And then if you're on a level like this, you take one hit and you get pushed all the way down. It's very, very frustrating. Not very good enemy placement design, if you ask me. But it is what it is. It is one of the things you have to sort of warm up to when you play this game. Go ahead and use our boosters on that. So we have 3 hit points, and there is one other new mechanic that is introduced right here. So, over the course of the game, you have specialized enemies that will drop specialized power-ups. These guys up here like to drop these shields, and when you have the shield, you actually won't take any damage, which is really cool. And I believe they're called DNA spheres. It's got an A icon on them. And so I'm going to go ahead and... Okay, never mind. It disappeared. I guess because I picked up a special weapon. This part's a little weird. You can bang your head on these. So what I like to do is actually kind of jump over to the side and then jump up like that. And then try to do it again. The timing on that is actually very tight. You'll bump your head against the ceiling if you're not careful. Let's go ahead and kill this guy. And is there another one of these shield guys here? There is. Let's go ahead and kill him and get the shield. They like to shoot projectiles too, so you have to watch out for those. So the shields are nice because, you know, it gives you a little bit of reprieve. You know, you basically won't take any damage when you have these shields. And if you're just trying to rush through the game, kind of like I am, then it helps you do that a little bit faster. So I'd say these first 2 levels are probably the most annoying in the game. Which is a little frustrating. I wish they had these a little bit later on in the game. But that leads us to our first boss fight, and it's this big object with these 2 heads. You just have to shoot the heads. You can use your boosters to do some damage as well. The boosters are actually very powerful, just like in the first Vectorman. But I find that on enemies and boss fights, I don't use them as much as I do in the first Vectorman. So we're just going to sit off in the distance here and just sort of snipe these guys. A lot of bosses in this game actually don't take that many hits, especially this first boss here. So this first boss is actually really easy. And this is probably one of 5 or 6 bosses over the course of the game that we're going to be fighting. Alright, so scene 5, fired. And what I'm going to do here is actually come over here, kill this enemy first, grab this photon just like that, and then I'm going to grab this power up here, and I'm going to save it for over here. Bam! And destroy this scorpion. Now the scorpion actually drops another change power up, and you turn into a scorpion yourself. It's actually a pretty nifty weapon. And what's really cool about the power up is that it makes you immune to lava, so you can walk over this fire right here. And I'm gonna save this laser for another scorpion coming up here. What I'd like to do is, oops, double jump all the way over to the right hand side and fail miserably. These scorpions are really tough to deal with, so you want to kill them from a distance and then grab their power up and then just use it to quickly walk across the fire, just like so. There we go. Now one other thing that's really cool, and this was verified in one of my old Vectorman 1 Let's Plays, is that score multipliers in this will actually multiply the amount of health you get. And see, there was an enemy obfuscated by a foreground object, and that's actually pretty annoying. That's one of the most annoying things you can have in a side-scrolling game like this. But it's okay. It doesn't really matter if I die that many times, and if this playthrough is too sloppy. I'm not going to worry too much about it, because like I said, even with deaths, we're going to have probably about 15 or 16 lives by the end of the playthrough. That's how many lives you get, and that's not even with exploring the levels to their fullest. And I'm gonna come down here and actually snipe this guy from a distance, just like that. So yeah, you can actually just have so many extra lives by the end of the game without even fully exploring the levels. That's just how the game is. Now, of course, that also, you know, is assuming you don't die that often, which I don't predict we will be dying that often. And there we go, that's the end of the level. So there are a couple of areas I missed as far as exploration is concerned. There was this ground with these holes in it that you could actually shoot through, but I did not do that because I didn't really care. Alright, so this level right here, Magma P.I., a play on Magnum P.I., an old television show. What I like to do here is actually come up here first. We're gonna go kind of up and over. So you can actually fall down from the very beginning, but I'm gonna go up and over. I'm gonna go all the way up as high as I can, and then we're gonna fall back down, and then that'll take us to the exit. So more of these little bugs here. So one thing you can do, just like in the first Vectorman, is if you find a section with the constantly spawning bugs, you can actually just let them spawn in over and over and then destroy them over and over. And you can grind out for health. So let's grind out for health here, just to demonstrate it. And they can also drop photons too. So if you're, if you got a multiplier and you're all about those points, you can always destroy some of these guys to get some photons. And unfortunately, I took some damage, but since I got a 2x multiplier, if they do drop some health, that'll actually help me. Because the health will be multiplied times 2. And they don't seem to be wanting to drop much health right now. They did it first, but now they're not dropping much health at all. There we go, there's one. And there we go. Okay, I'm in good shape, actually. And there's another one. So we've got all of our health now. These guys here, it's actually... I didn't mean to jump by accident. I'm actually using a 6-button controller right now, official Genesis 6-button controller. And it's a great controller. I really love this controller, but as I've gotten older, my thumbs have gotten bigger. My thumbs are not as thin and small as they were when I was a teenager. And these buttons are actually relatively small and close together, and so what happens is my thumb will actually graze one of the buttons on this, like next to the button I'm aiming for, and I end up pressing another button by accident. So I actually jumped into that guy completely by accident. But like I said, I wanted to go up and over, and fall down, and this is the fall down part. So after this, we're going to exit, and that's it. That's our exit. But yeah, those guys that give you the shield power up, if you have an ability to shoot them from down below, then shoot them from down below. Don't get up in front of them and shoot them in their face, because they will shoot projectiles at you, and that can actually catch you off guard. So this Magma Beast boss, or whatever you want to call it, he likes to walk towards you and then throw projectiles. Now you have to jump after he throws the projectile. If you jump before he throws the projectile, he'll actually target you in the air. And so what I like to do is just sit on one side of the screen and then just jump the projectile like that, and like that, and like that. So notice I'm waiting to jump. If you jump before he throws it, he will aim directly at you in the air, and he will hit you guaranteed 100% of the time. Alright, so Scene 8, Orbot Express. There are actually 3 of these levels, and honestly, they can be a little annoying to deal with, but, once you get the hang of the mechanics and the flow of these levels, they're actually not too bad. I do recommend just sort of tapping the direction pad left and right, and, taking your time on these levels. Otherwise, you'll be slamming into bugs left and right. You can also double jump, just like normal, and you actually get more reach double jumping on these stages. And so what I'm going to do is try to take out these bugs one by one, and again, you can use your boosters to destroy the power sacks immediately. And health on these levels is generally handled by destroying enemies. You don't get much health from power sacks themselves, typically. Power sacks in this game seem to be relegated to, for the most part, with exceptions, some power sacks will give you health. Power sacks seem to be relegated to actual power-ups, points, time extensions, things like that, whereas enemies are the ones that have a tendency of dropping health. So if you're low on health and you're trying to lose as few lives as possible, you want to focus on destroying as many enemies as you can to keep your health bar up. But that means having to play relatively safe against these enemies and dealing with these wonky controls. This level still throws me off guard sometimes when I play it, even though this is my 5th playthrough of the game. and I'm pretty comfortable with Vectorman 2 now. It is still tricky to deal with these. You can get caught in one direction for some reason. I'm not quite sure why that happens. But there we go. So I'm making decent progress here, and we've actually got quite a few photons. And this level actually doesn't have that many pathways, and so we might actually end up accessing a bonus stage after this. But I want to collect as many photons as I can to ensure that. I would like to show off all 3 bonus stages in this playthrough. So one of these levels later on, I will most likely just intentionally explore around just to be able to show you guys the bonus stages, the 3 different types of bonus stages in the game. And let's go ahead and grab that power sack just like so, and I think that's pretty much it. Alright, so we've got 6 of 7 power sacks, 69 out of 73 photons. That might activate the bonus stage. Let's see. It does. Okay, awesome. Okay, so orbit. So what you want to do here is watch out for these missiles and then fly with the missiles. Now, unfortunately, the missiles themselves don't really give you any points, but enemies will appear and they do give you points, and then health pickups appear, and those give you points as well. If you go against these missiles, you'll pretty much slam into them guaranteed, and you will lose. So you can't actually lose an actual life on these bonus stages, but when your time runs out or your health runs out, you do end the bonus stage. And so the missiles actually have switched paths, so we're going to go ahead and go with these missiles. Usually when I play this game, I just ignore these bonus stages because they're not really necessary. If you're playing for a high score or something like that, then it's a different story. But I'm not really playing for high score, I'm just playing for survival. I'm just trying to show you guys the whole game. So that is the bonus stage. And if you get near some of these planets, you actually sort of get sucked into their orbit, and you'll actually sort of just orbit around the planets, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so this is another level where I'm basically just going to skip through it as quickly as possible, and we actually have 2 of these levels total, and I'm just going to shoot my way down like this, get this power sack. Again, if I see power sacks, I will definitely get them, but if I don't see power sacks, I won't get them. So this actually kind of reminds me, I was mentioning it on one of my Twitch streams when I was playing this, it kind of reminds me of a level from Earthworm Jim 2. A couple of games from this time period had some digging mechanics, and this and Earthworm Jim 2 both had that. So, and they were both released in a similar time frame. I can't remember if Earthworm Jim 2 was 95 or 96, but Vectorman 2 was 96. So, 2 games from a similar era, similar time frame, with similar level concepts. So let's go ahead and destroy this bug here, and destroy this one, and then grab that power sack just like that, and then just shoot our way down like so. Yeah, and this is the exit right here. I'm going to shoot up, and then jump and shoot down, and then that's it. So again, this is one of those levels where you can try to explore and grab all the photons and all that stuff. If you're a completionist, you can by all means go for that. Or if you're like me and you just want to beat the game quickly, you find the exit and then you exit. Alright, so this is the second roller skating level. One thing that is kind of irritating about the reuse of stages in this game is that, unlike Vectorman 1, they didn't bother to palette swap anything in this game. So Vectorman 1 has the problem of reutilizing the same stage themes over and over again. So the stage 1 theme that you access when you first start the game is also seen probably 3 or 4 times throughout the rest of the game. But the difference between Vectorman 1 and Vectorman 2 reusing stages is that Vectorman 1 palette swaps them. So one of the stages you get to is a dusk theme. So it looks like the sun is setting. It's actually a nice color palette. There's another one where it's nighttime, and I think the background's flashing, like lightning striking and things like that. So nice, clever little ways to differentiate the stages. So the themes are obviously the same, but with the palette swaps and slight effect differences, you get a different feel overall. But Vectorman 2, unfortunately, doesn't do that. And so you know, it has a tendency of getting a little more repetitive than I think the first Vectorman does. So, did Vectorman 2 really need 3 roller skating levels? Probably not, but, you know, if they really felt the need to do it, this way, which they did. They probably should have thought about palette swapping each of them to make them feel a little more distinct, to let you know that, oh hey, you're actually making progress in the game. You're not just repeating a level you've played previously. And same with this level. You know, they should have worked on palette swapping, you know, these levels as well. But it is what it is. There are going to be 2 tank stages later on in the game that have the exact same problem, where you actually play 2 of them back to back, but nothing is really changed in terms of, you know, the visual styling and whatnot. So, you know, it is what it is, but it's definitely something that it was definitely a downgrade from Vectorman Part 1. So here we are, again, back to another roller skating level, and it's okay. So... and I actually do kind of want to take it a little bit slower now because I have 2 blocks of health now, and I do want to get some of my health back. And there we go. We got a little bit of health back, just one pellet. And I'm going to actually go this way. I think this is a dead end. We have to go right, but I'm going to collect all these power-ups anyway. I think this is the wrong way. And I slammed right into him, going backwards. There we go. Okay, cool. Let's go back this way. A lot of times what I do when I play, not just this one, but Vectorman 1 as well, is as I'm running, I'm constantly shooting, but I'm not... You'll notice that I'm not mashing the button when I'm just running, when there are no enemies on screen. See, I'm just going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, like that. That way, as enemies appear, though, I'll get a couple free shots on them. Or in the case of Vectorman 1, where you have a lot of enemies that just take 1 hit, you have a lot of popcorn enemies in that game. You'll actually just destroy them in 1 hit as you run to the right. And unfortunately, that guy flew down too far below, and you can't duck here without stopping completely. And check this out. If you hold left or right, then shoot and press down, I'm holding down right now, and Vectorman is not ducking. And actually, you know what? It looks like you can't duck and shoot at all. Oh, that's the problem. You can't duck and shoot at all in this mode. That's actually disappointing. I didn't know that. I just learned something. I always thought you could duck and shoot on this mode. Alright, so with that, I'm going to actually just go ahead and speed through this now. I was trying to take it careful in the very beginning because of my health being low, but who cares? There is actually an area you can go up to on one of these sides. I think it's this side right here. Let's go ahead and jump up here. We got a couple power stacks we can pick up, just like so. More enemies we can kill, but I'm getting really lazy now. Now, just like in Vectorman 1, you do get permanent health increases. I don't know exactly where all of them are in this game, but unlike Vectorman 1, I don't really need them in this game. I feel they're not as useful because the more familiar you get with these stages, I think the easier the levels actually... I mean, this is the case with any game you play. I think the stages overall... once you get used to the level quirks in this game, and the different style of flow and design compared to the first Vectorman, that I think these levels are actually easier overall. I end up taking less damage overall, and so I don't need as many health increases when I play these stages. There are a lot of stages where you can actually stay relatively safe for the most part as well, despite some kind of trollish enemy placement. And wow, I don't know why I qualified this bonus level because I barely picked up any power-ups, but let's go ahead and just kill ourselves here. And again, this is a bonus stage, so we're not going to lose anything. We just, we don't get as many points as we could, we don't get potential extra lives that might be here. But again, my goal is just to get through this as quickly as possible, so let's just go ahead and just slam into stuff and move on. Now, I do want to show you the third bonus stage, and actually I kind of want to access the third bonus stage because I haven't played it that much. I've only played it once, and I don't know if we can get it on stage 13. I don't think we can. One other thing that can be a little annoying in Vectorman 2, by the way, is you have a lot of enemies that just charge right at you. So you have to watch out for that in this game. In Vectorman 1, you have a lot of enemies that'll just sort of like hobble around. But in Vectorman 2, you have a lot of enemies that, when they see you, they just charge right at you. And that can really catch you off guard on your first couple playthroughs. So, definitely something you have to watch out for if you're playing this game for the first time. And so let's just come up here. Okay, so these guys actually drop custom power-ups as well. And they basically turn you into a big old ape. Or a golem. It's probably a golem. And it lets you punch, and you're quite powerful. But what's cool about these forms, though, is that you don't seem to take damage when you're in them. But they are just temporary, and they don't last all that long. Alright, it's coming up this way. Go ahead and just use our boosters on that power sack, and there's another guy right here. So you can also shoot this guy from down below. His hitbox is so large, you can actually just sort of shoot off to the side like this, and bam, he's dead. Just like that. You can do that in a lot of games, but you can do it in this one too, and I definitely recommend it. Boom, kill him in one hit, then we can kill this guy in one hit as well. Now, we actually don't need to go this way, but let's go ahead and grab this power sack. Use our boosters, and there's another power sack down there, so I'll go ahead and collect that since it's here. And come up just like this. 5 times multiplier. And then we come up this way. And another power sack actually, so let's go ahead and destroy that. 10 times multiplier. So if you're trying to play for score, knowing where these 10x multipliers is actually really, really, really handy. So these blue guys, they can actually burrow into the ground, so you definitely have to watch out for that. When they burrow into the ground, they're coming straight for you. They're gonna dive into the ground and then just come right at you. Alright, so we have to come back up here. And it's good to try to kill these guys from the side as well. Keep a distance because, again, they just charge right at you. So many enemies in this game just charge right at you. Now, there is something a little weird in this game, and I think the first Vectorman does this as well, but I can't remember. When you move the D-pad around, the camera just kind of like scrolls all the way over to the other side. And what happens with that is you can end up like moving the camera one way and then scrolling the screen the other way and then just slamming right into an enemy that's just off the screen. These guys right here that you can't actually see, there you go, you can see them now. These shelled guys, what they do is they burrow into their shells, or not really burrow, but they hide in their shells and then will shoot 2 projectiles. So you have to watch out for that. You will get hit by those projectiles if you don't follow their pattern. So let's come down this way, just like so. So, projectile, projectile, jump, jump, and then shoot, shoot, just like that. Now, you've got these bats in some of these levels, and you can shoot them, but it doesn't seem like it really does anything. If anybody knows if those bats actually do anything, let me know. They don't hurt you, but they do block your shots, which is kind of interesting. And there's an enemy over there. I could hear my projectiles making contact with it. Okay, got him. Oh. Overall, I mean, you know, it's not a perfect playthrough, but I mean, we have 12 lives right now. And like I said, I've barely explored things. If I have explored things, I would have even more lives right now. Because I would have gotten health pickups along the way. Hopefully this guy turns around. Can I... It's really hard to jump over him on that part. So, notice that there's a big gap between me and the ceiling. I can't jump right here. It's not letting me jump. And so I tried to move over here and jump, so it looks like I should be able to jump past that. I can't jump until right here. If I move over just slightly, like this, I can't jump right here. So look at this, I'm mashing the button right now. And that's where I could jump. So it makes getting over that guy a little tricky. You need to just have him turn around and then shoot him from a distance. So there is going to be a new weapon upgrade here, or a special power, I should say. You fight a couple of these rhinos, and they'll give you a rhinoceros power-up, and you can basically stampede your way through enemies, which is actually pretty cool. So jump, just like so. And they're going to be appearing, probably right here. So let's come up here. There's probably a power-up here. Yep, just like that. Got some health back. And I'm going to sort of... hope he comes over to the side. It doesn't look like he's going to, so let's come back over here. And then just quickly run and grab his power-up. So you press the B button to charge, just like so. And you can still double jump. And there we go. Yeah, we can just hit this guy from down below. We don't actually have to jump all the way up. Alright, so there are going to be a couple of rhinos up here, so we're going to try to hit them from a distance. I think they're right here. Oh! Picked it up just in time. Just going to fall down like this. This is the exit. We could have gone to the left and explored a little bit more, but we're just going for the exit. 12 lives. Alright, this is the next boss fight. So what I like to do is get to one side, shoot them a couple times, then jump over just like so. And they do shoot projectiles, and their projectiles seem to be very inconsistent and difficult to deal with when both of these guys are here. You will end up killing one of them, and then so you'll have half the projectiles you have to deal with. If I just wait for them to spawn, and then jump over them like so. A lot of flicker because of all the projectiles. My projectiles, their projectiles, the little particle effects, the little graphical effects when your projectiles make contact. Okay, destroyed one, which is good. Ooh, destroyed both. Very nice. Got both. That boss is actually probably one of the hardest bosses in the game to do consistently because of how many projectiles they toss out. Now, I don't have much health here, so hopefully this guy drops one, and he didn't. So let's go ahead and just take our time here, snipe this guy. And a lot of these guys aren't going to drop health, unfortunately, so I'm probably going to end up dying. There is something you have to watch out for on this level. He just dove down and slammed right into me. So for situations like that, when I die and respawn, I've got all my health, I just start to get a little more lazy. I start to get a little more reckless. So we're just going to skip past this guy this time, since I don't really need any health. And again, this guy likes to charge at you, but he doesn't like to go down hills. So he'll basically walk all the way to the edge here and then walk the other way. So I like to just get over to the side here and just shoot him like that. One thing you might find interesting in this game is that Vectorman 2 doesn't have anywhere near as many slopes as Vectorman 1 does. So shooting diagonally upwards on a slope is something that you don't find yourself doing all that often in this game. Okay, so this part right here, there are these projectiles that fall down. They'll knock you all the way down. You have to walk all the way back around and get back to the beginning. So I'm going to actually come up this way. So if you're just trying to beat the level quickly, you just want to come this way. You do a double jump right here, and then work your way around just like this. And watch out for this green stuff. And this is kind of one of the problems I was talking about earlier, is a lot of times you really have to hold down to look to see what's down below. Otherwise you'll just walk onto something like that. That green stuff, that non-animating, really lazy art green stuff hurts you. So it hurts you. And if you're not scrolling the screen down slowly, you will run into it and you will get hurt. So if you're trying to do this without losing that much health, you need to take your time, unlike me, and look down. But with that, we're going to go ahead and jump up here. This is actually going to take us to our exit. So we're actually not too far away from the exit right now. We're going to double jump our way over here, just like so. Destroy some of these. Get that power sack right there. Get that power sack, and then exit, just like that. So there's a whole basement area you could go to explore. There's also higher parts there that you could explore as well. So we only got 5 out of 24 power sacks. Only 33 of 129 photons. Okay, so this is actually a boss level here, the Shadow Nose. Let's go ahead and just kill these enemies. You only have about, probably 6 or 7 enemies in the whole level here. So the idea is to just shoot your way up, just like so. So kill these guys. You can also see here on this level where the production values, you can tell some of the production values in Vectorman 2 are not as good as, some other Genesis games. You got this solid black background. When you destroy these blocks, they just disappear. And they do kind of break apart, but, the actual block itself doesn't crack or shatter apart or anything like that. So some of the stuff was, a little rushed, it seems like. That right there that I just got is a checkpoint, so you definitely want to get that for this boss, because this boss can take a while to kill. So what I do for this guy is I just stay on the right-hand side here, and I just shoot 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and for the most part, I won't actually touch those projectiles. And on this phase right here, this mouth appears and flies directly at you, so I just wait for it, and then I jump, just like that. Bosses in this game, when they make that sort of screaming sound, that means you're doing damage. So that's how you can tell in this game that you're doing damage. By the way, your screen is working fine. Vectorman 2, for some reason, on certain areas of the game, likes to apply this darkening filter over everything. So on this boss, everything is darker, but if you look at the status bar, everything is actually as fully bright as it's supposed to be. It's just the actual gameplay screen is muted. So it is not my capture footage, it is not my capture card, it is actually Vectorman 2. It is just what Vectorman 2 does. So the idea of this boss is just to take your time, and look at how much time we actually get to beat this guy. We get 18 minutes. I think we actually might get 19 or 20 minutes to beat this whole level. By the time you get to the boss, you have over 18 minutes to deal with him. Oops, and I took a hit by accident. So he always does the mouth attack twice, so you just kind of wait like that. It's a very rigid boss. It's, you know, perfectly repeatable pretty much 100% of the time. And all you really have to do is just watch out for his slow green projectiles. And that's it. Lots of points for the, the 17 minutes and 22 seconds we had on the clock. Okay, so there's actually one gimmick on this level if you're just trying to get through it quickly. First, you want to kill these guys on this first floor here. But this level also introduces our tornado power-up, which we actually only see on this stage. So we actually get it right here, and it makes you invincible. But we want to fall down to the left here, kill this enemy, grab that, and then just wait. So there's actually a wind effect on this level. We're constantly pushed to the left-hand side of the screen. And there's another tornado. I actually didn't want that tornado, but it's okay. We'll go ahead and take it just to kill some of these guys. Just like so. Alright, so we're going to actually run back to the left. You can actually go farther down below, but like I said, I'm not really exploring on this playthrough, so I don't really want to do that. I want to wait for this platform. I actually got confused. I thought this platform appeared on the top floor, but it actually doesn't. It's the second from the top floor where the platform appears. And this platform is actually how you get to your next section, so you have to get on that platform. And we're going to fall down here, just like so. So what I like to do in this game is constantly shoot directly down as I'm falling. It slows down your descent. So if, you know, look at me. Look at how fast I'm falling down, just like so. Well, now if I do that and shoot down, I fall down much slower, just like that. So I highly recommend constantly shooting downwards. And this is another enemy you can just kill from down below, just like so. Just take your time, kill him from down below. And we're actually doing pretty well in health. A lot of times when I get here, my health is kind of low because that previous boss can do some damage to me if I get lazy. But he didn't really do any damage to me. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Nothing crazy. And we're gonna come over here, just try to do a big jump like that, and just constantly use our laser. Here we go, just to take things nice and slow. Alright, killed that bug enemy. So many bug enemies in this game, and the final boss is actually going to be a big spider. So for anyone that is creeped out by spiders, you can look forward to that. Actually a pretty creepy looking spider. It was actually a pretty creepy final boss too, the first time I fought it, and then the second time I fought it, I realized how easy it was. And then its threat pretty much eluded me after that. There we go. I'm trying to use my my boosters to destroy that. Now the tornado is a little weird. I've gotten it to go kind of high before, like jump pretty high, but I've only done it once, and I'm starting to wonder if that was a fluke. So if anybody knows if there's any rhythm or rhyme to the tornado power-up, let me know in the comments. Help me out with that. And if any of you guys have made it to this part in the playthrough, have you played this game before? I'd like to know your opinions on it. Because, like I said, when I first played this game, I didn't like it at all. I'm a big fan of the first Vectorman. It's always been one of my favorites on the Genesis. But Vectorman 2 always just felt kind of cheap and lazy. I don't feel that entirely anymore now that I've beaten the game close to 5 times now. It's still not anywhere near as good as the first game in my opinion, but I do think it is still solid once you get the hang of its quirks, I should say. But I'm curious to know what you think about this game. So let me know down below. This is actually one of the longer levels in the game, by the way. It takes quite some time to get through it. Especially if you fall down. You can fall down quite easily on this level. Just like so. And I'm gonna just try to snipe this guy from the outside, just like that, because I can't jump over his projectiles in that hallway. Power sack right there. Let's go ahead and yeah, just use I like using the tornado on enemies when I can, but again, the problem with the tornado is that you're just kind of stuck. You can't double jump with it. I think if they allowed you to double jump with the tornado, it would have been a much better power-up. Like the Rhinoceros power-up is actually really good. You can slam into enemies, kill them instantly, but you can also still double jump, so you can really get this nice flow going that you can't really get going with the tornado, as far as I'm aware anyway. Like I said, I'm not, definitely not a Vectorman 2 pro, since I just beat the game for the first time this past week. But as far as I can tell, you can't do any sort of double jump or really high jump with the tornado. And I always like this part right here. The wind effect, it constantly pushes you over to the left, even after you beat the stage. So we're actually getting very, very close to the end of the game. We're on the last 3 stages now. 4 stages if you count the actual final boss itself. So we're on a tank level. You can actually press A to switch around, just like so. Just switch on the fly. There's no animation or anything. You literally just mirror to the other side. And pressing up once lets you shoot at a 45-degree angle. Pressing up again lets you shoot at a 90-degree angle, just like that. And you've got a lot of bugs here, so you can actually just spawn these guys over and over if you want to try to collect some health. So if you're low on lives, definitely something to keep in mind. And I like to kill these guys from a distance if I can. And let's just jump up. I actually kind of want to try to get as many photons as I can on this level. So we're gonna try to do that. I definitely want to try to access the next bonus stage if I can, and that was health. And I think it probably, ooh, it's still there. Very nice. So we actually got some health refilled. So we're at 12 lives right now. Not as many lives as I had in my last playthrough, but we did die a couple times. I think a couple times more than I actually did on my last playthrough. Okay, so let's get this power sack just like that. There's no double jump or anything like that with the tank. So once once you jump, that's pretty much it. No doubling up on your jumps. No booster to use either. And let's actually jump up here. There's a power sack right there. Because again, I want to try to access the next bonus stage. I assume you can qualify the bonus stage on this level. I assume so. Try to kill that bug up there. So many bug-based enemies in this game. I wonder why they thought bug-based enemies would be interesting compared to, you know, the more like mecha kind of enemies you constantly destroyed in the first Vectorman. All right, so let's come this way. Get that power sack just like so. So the only reason I'm exploring right now and trying to get a bunch of extra stuff is basically to just try to qualify the next bonus stage. Again, I don't know if I can qualify bonus stages on the tank levels. I assume you can, but on boss levels you can't qualify bonus stages. So let's actually come back to the left. There's actually some more stuff we have to get. And we're at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So we do have to rush a little bit. We don't have a ton of time here. Gonna wait for that to... Oh, come on. The window of opportunity on that gap is just very small with this tank. I could try to do like a baby hop, but it doesn't quite work. I'm gonna wait for it to fall again, and just... Oh, come on! I'm just sliding off the platform. There we go, just like that. And try to go over here like that, very tight jump. Maybe with some luck there will be a time power-up, so we don't lose a life for running out of time. And it looks like that's it. And I can't actually scroll the screen down, which is interesting. Yeah, that's it. I've also noticed that on this level, for some reason, your ship turns different colors. I don't know why. If anybody knows why, definitely let me know. But you start off green, and then you end up blue. I think I've even turned to red eventually. Like, now I'm dark green. Maybe it's from these bugs? Now I'm red, or orange, maroon? I don't know what you want to call it. There was an insect there on the ceiling, by the way, that also blocked my view. And he did it again. He was blocking my view completely. So that's actually something that's really irritating about having foreground objects and really, really tiny enemies like this. Is they can obstruct your view, unfortunately. So this is actually the place we've already been to. This is the place we've already covered, so we can just roll on to the right here without too much trouble. Yeah, it must have something to, like, you turning colors must have something to do with the bugs, and I don't really know why that is. I wonder if it's like a glitch, or if it was intentional, or if there's some other gameplay mechanic involved here. Like, now I'm black. And I got trolled by that guy again. He was behind this column. Alright, let's come over this way. Again, I want to get as many photons and whatnot as I can so I can show you guys the next bonus stage. And I think that's it. Three times multiplier, so if I get any health, that'll be multiplied. Here we go. So he burrows under and then just comes straight for you. So you gotta watch out for those guys. Alright, and that's it. Let's see what we got here. See if we get a bonus stage. All power sacks, very nice. 98 out of 101 photons, very nice. So this should put us at a bonus stage. Yep, here we go. So plan 9. I'm guessing kind of like... Well, never mind. So yeah, like I said, this is more like a traditional classic vertical shoot-'em-up. Single screen shoot-'em-up. Space Invaders, Galaga, stuff like that. Galaxian. Multiple one-ups. Now on both of these traditional shoot-'em-up sections, you know, this top-down one and the original side-scrolling one from the beginning, the physics feel a little weird. And look at that, I got a permanent health increase. So that actually tells me that some of the permanent health increases are on bonus stages. So if you're looking to get a permanent health increase, you need to play the bonus stages. So that means you need to play the level as well, just to be able to get to the bonus stages. And we have some missiles falling from the sky. But yeah, the physics on these side-scrolling, not side-scrolling, but these traditional shmup sections, is a little weird. It's very floaty and very fast. and you slide. So I can just tap a little bit, and Vectorman slides a little bit. So it takes some time to get used to. It's almost like it was intended for some sort of analog style control, like a mouse or a trackball or analog stick or something like that. So it's very interesting. So there we go. We showed off that bonus stage, and so with that, I'm not going to bother exploring on this level. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to the end of the level, just to show you what it's like and beat the game. So these green puddles here, they actually do hurt you, so you have to watch out for those. And we can fall down into this little cubby here to get some photons. And these structures here actually give you an idea of what the next level is going to look like. So we're actually getting somewhat close to the boss's hideout, whatever you want to call it, the boss's lair. And yeah, so we're up to 15 lives now, which is very common for me. I mean, just about every playthrough I've done, even on my first playthrough, I had a lot of lives left by the end of the game. Alright, oops! I got hurt by it before I actually jumped over it, so that was a problem. You can see I'm getting kind of lazy with actually trying to dodge these guys and whatnot. That's just kind of what happens when I play this game. But let's just die then. Let's just go for it. Let's just die. But, you know, since I'm not going for like a one life clear or anything like that, and I don't usually do that when I play action games like this, I usually go for 1 credit clears. 1 credit clears are usually satisfying enough achievements for me. So basically beating the game without continuing. Or in a game like this, which, I assume Vectorman 2 doesn't have continues. If it's anything like the first game doesn't have continues. You know, a 1 credit clear is satisfying. You know, you beat the game as it was intended. And so, you know, when you end up in a situation like this where you've got, you know, 14 lives left, it's very easy to get lazy and just not even pay attention to what you're doing. So that does happen to me sometimes when I play games like this, where I just have this massive abundance of lives. Now, when I do play games like these, I do like to try to play as well as I can at first, and then if I die a couple times, I'm like, well, the run was pretty sloppy, so I just have to get lazy after that point. I'm the kind of person where, you know, just naturally I like to just play as well as I can on my first life, and then when I die, I start playing worse just because I don't care as much. So I wonder if that actually happens to anybody else out there. Alright, so we just run up to the right here, and then run up to the left, and sometimes these enemies appear. What's actually kind of funny is you can just jump over them and just skip them completely. So we're gonna come up here like this, and walk up just like that, and that's it. That's the exit. So enemies appear from eggs in this, so big eggs will fall down, and when you destroy them, enemies will appear. So you have to watch out for those. Alright, so this is our final boss here. So what I like to do is actually just do this strategy right here. Just walk to one side, aim diagonally, and shoot up. You'll hear, oops, you see, that happened again where I accidentally tapped a button that I wasn't planning on tapping because of my fat thumbs. So that is my problem. One thing I really should be doing is I should start using the Genesis 3-button controller because the buttons are much larger and they're much more recessed. And it's much harder to accidentally tap a button on that controller. I really like the comfort level of the 6-button controller, though. I like how it feels, I like the shape, I like the weight, I like the feel of the buttons. The problem is, again, like I said, with my fat thumbs, I always fat finger these buttons, and I press buttons I don't mean to. So as you destroy this boss, one platform will disappear, and then the other platform will disappear. That basically is an indication of, you know, how far you've gone into the fight. Now, if you try to get close to the boss, you'll notice this, its legs and arms come out. Now, you can try to get on top of it and shoot, but it's just not worth the trouble. When I first got to this boss, I was just getting wrecked, because I kept trying to get above it or to the side of it, but all you have to do is just this. Just shoot diagonally, like so. At first, the platforms will block your shots, but since Vectorman's arm sits so high out, his arm will actually sit above the platforms in their lowest state. And so, as long as you wait and you know, pull your arm out above the platforms and shoot, they won't block your shots. And this boss is almost dead. And there we go. Game over. So something I didn't actually point out early on in the playthrough is one thing that is different about this compared to the first Vectorman is that Vectorman is fully voiced in this game. He has a lot of callouts that are very subtle, kind of difficult to make out, but the voice samples are pretty clear in this game. And there was a voice sample on that last boss there. It was actually sort of talking to you, which is kind of interesting. And there's the end screen. That's pretty much it. And let me go straight to the game credits. I don't know if there is an extended ending on the hard mode. I might have to try it sometime, but if any of you guys out there watching know, definitely post something in the comments and let me know if that is the case or not. So that is Vectorman 2. I know some of you guys have been wanting me to play this, and you know, for those of you guys waiting for that, I hope you enjoyed it. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I was kind of scrambling to get a Let's Play together for this period's Let's Play, and this was the game that I finished. And so since I finished it, I went through and I did a second run, then a third, and then a fourth, and this is our fifth run. So, you know, I think I'm okay at the game. You know, I can get through it pretty consistently, pretty smoothly. And, you know, I do enjoy the game now. Like I said, when I first played the game, I didn't really care for it all that much, but it has definitely grown on me a little bit from getting half decent at it and getting familiar with it, basically. So, I don't think it's the best sequel out there. But I don't think it's as bad as I used to think, and I do think it's actually somewhat solid when you get used to its quirks, like I've said multiple times in this playthrough. And so if you kind of felt the way I did, maybe put some more time into this, consider getting more familiarized with the levels and how some of the mechanics work and the flow of the game, and you might end up enjoying this one too. So if that's the case, if that ever happens, definitely come back to this video and let me know, because I'm always interested to hear people about. I'm always interested to hear about people revisiting games that they once did not like, and then putting some time into them, and then starting to like them because they got comfortable with them and had more fun as a result. So. But yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. That is the Let's Play. I'll be back in another 2 weeks with another Let's Play. For those of you guys that don't know, I also do live streams here on a weekly basis. As of doing this video, it's every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we play lots of retro games, sometimes modern games, but mostly retro games. So for those of you guys that need some content in between my Let's Play periods, which is every 2 weeks, you can stop in on those weekly streams or check out the archive for those streams. And if you check out those archives, be sure to post a comment. Let me know you checked them out. And, you know, if you have any thoughts or questions or anything like that, always feel free to post them in the comment section as well. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'll be back with another Let's Play in a couple of weeks. For those of you guys new to my channel, consider subscribing. I've got hundreds of Let's Plays on here and many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on how you felt. And until the next one, guys, take it easy.